everybody. If everybody can get in their seats. I hope everybody had a good lunch. Did everyone try those little chocolate truffle balls by any chance? How many people tried the chocolate truffle balls? Good, okay. All right, we're going to start the afternoon session now. And we're going to hear from Dr. Cassell, who's going to introduce our keynote speaker, Geoff Martha, the CEO of Medtronic. After that, I will get back up here and we'll have our epilepsy panel, our psychiatric disease panel, and then another break, and then lots of surprises after that. So without further ado, we'll show a message from Dr. Cassell and then our keynote address.
As the field of focused ultrasound transitions from primarily a research environment to a commercial patient treatment environment, the role of major medical device manufacturers with established distribution channels is becoming more timely and critical. We are fortunate to welcome Geoff Martha, CEO of Medtronic, as our keynote speaker. Medtronic is widely recognized as the global leader in healthcare technology. Geoff has had a long and illustrious career in medical devices. Prior to joining Medtronic, he held a variety of business development, strategic marketing, and sales management positions at GE Healthcare, during which he became intimately familiar with focused ultrasound. Geoff, thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for inviting me to join you here today. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I am excited to talk to you about Medtronic, focused ultrasound, and most importantly, how we can accelerate getting the most advanced healthcare technology to patients all around the world. But before we get too far into the details, let me start by telling you a bit about Medtronic and our roots. We're a company founded on partnership. It began when our co-founder, Earl Bakken, worked with a local cardiologist following a historic power outage to develop a battery-powered pacemaker. That was in the 1950s, and it was our first glimpse at what was possible when engineers and physicians collaborated to address unmet patient needs. Our Medtronic mission to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life fell into place from there. And as they say, the rest is history. Here we are 6 decades later. Our 95,000 employees are engineering the extraordinary, impacting more than 76 million patients across 150 countries each year. And while we're still a leader in pacing technology, we've expanded our portfolio to dozens of therapy areas spanning cardiovascular, neuroscience, diabetes, and surgery. As I mentioned, we have a long-standing mission that centers around improving patient outcomes through the application of biomedical engineering. It truly serves as our North Star and defines our work every day. Now, I've spent most of my career in healthcare, and across the industry, we are in constant pursuit of the triple aim, when we're continually trying to address 3 critical needs: expanding access to care for more people in more places, improving patient outcomes as we also improve clinician and patient experiences, and at the same time, reducing the cost of care. Now, it's been extremely difficult to improve all 3 areas simultaneously. Oftentimes, we make meaningful improvements to outcomes, but costs go up or access goes down, as some new approaches require new equipment or new skills for clinicians. But through today's advances in technology, we have the potential to address all 3 dimensions and materially improve healthcare for millions of patients. To get to where we want to be, one of the biggest opportunities we see at Medtronic is to build patient-centric ecosystems of care. So what does this mean? Well, of course, it starts with the patient. From there, we need to unlock the potential of a rapidly evolving tech landscape, one where the power of data, AI, and machine learning can be used to create a surround sound suite of products and therapies customized to meet an individual patient's needs and ultimately improves outcomes. Let me quickly talk through what it looks like in practice, with one example where we're making good progress. Take a look at the spine surgical suite, where data, AI, and robotics move spine surgery from an art to a science. At Medtronic, we've developed an ecosystem of products that improve predictability in planning, adaptability, and personalization in procedures. The result is reduced variability and improved outcomes, from preoperative diagnosis and planning through post-op and clinician training. Now, I share this example because creating these kinds of ecosystems requires ongoing collaboration across specialties, leveraging the most advanced technologies and accelerating the pace of innovation. And when we talk about innovation, we see that happening in three distinct phases. The first is about creating and developing new therapies that result in new markets being born. The second is continuous innovation. Now, this doesn't mean innovation just for the sake of innovation. I'm talking about meaningful advances to existing products or therapies that in turn deliver benefits like improved patient outcomes, better clinician experiences, or economic value. Example of this kind of work include advances we've seen in minimally invasive surgical techniques like imaging, navigation, and stapling. Now, the third area is all about creating disruption in existing markets. The history of pacemakers is actually a great example of both disruptive technology and continuous innovation, where the technology has evolved over the years, and in fact, in many instances, we've disrupted our own markets. Now, in a company of our size, all three phases, inventing new markets, continuous innovation, and disruptive technologies, run in parallel across multiple therapy areas. When we are constantly putting the latest technology to work in different capacities, that's when we can truly deliver better experiences and outcomes for patients, providers, and payers. We're fortunate that medtech is and always will be a growth industry because we're constantly looking for ways to live longer, fuller lives. We've made incredible advances in understanding the human body, but we still have so much more to learn. And with the ever-evolving technology landscape, the medical marvels of today are bound to be disrupted and improved upon in the future to deliver new and better therapies. So, how does focused ultrasound either create new markets, enhance existing therapies, or serve as a disruptive technology? And where does it fit into a personalized ecosystem of care? Let's start by considering use of focused ultrasound to treat two disease states, essential tremor and liver cancer. Today, we use deep brain stimulation, or DBS, to treat essential tremor. But focused ultrasound is becoming more and more a viable alternative to consider. Look, focused ultrasound is non-invasive. It's a one-time treatment. There are no implants, which means no battery replacements. And it may be an option for patients who are not good candidates for surgery. Similarly, in the future, focused ultrasound may be considered for patients with liver cancer. In addition to being non-invasive and a one-time treatment, ultrasound may offer more precision and allow for treatment closer to the aorta and the diaphragm than today's treatment using microwave ablation. These are but a few exciting possibilities where focused ultrasound has the potential to transform care. But inventing the therapy is only the first step if it is to become a new standard of care. As a global healthcare technology leader, we are always thinking about increasing our impact, using our size and scale to play big, expand our reach, and serve more patients in more places. And it comes down to four basic building blocks. We need technology that works and delivers the intended outcomes. That's where innovation comes into play. But we also need clinical data to back those claims and drive adoption of those therapies. We need regulatory systems in place to ensure the utmost safety, quality, and efficacy of products. And of course, we need payment models that ensure patients have access to the life-transforming therapies we help to deliver. Now let's take a quick look at an example of how these core elements come together. A product known as Solitaire is our revascularization therapy for the treatment of acute ischemic stroke. It was first launched more than a decade ago in 2009. We, of course, began with product development, which can take years and even decades, as you know. This is a critical phase that requires relentless focus, passion, and, of course, perseverance by individuals and teams. Inventing a new therapy is not for the faint of heart, as there may be many twists and turns along the journey until you create the therapy you are confident will work. That was the case for Solitaire. Because the market for Solitaire didn't actually exist, we had to build it. Clinical trials were needed to gather robust data that would demonstrate the clinical efficacy of the product, positioning the therapy well for regulatory approval and later for adoption by clinicians. Having experience designing and executing clinical trials and building strong partnerships with the FDA are absolutely critical and sets the stage for the third component, which is establishing the therapy as a standard of care. With evidence backed by medical publications, we advocated for changes in both guidelines as well as reimbursement to enable as many patients as possible who could benefit from this therapy and have access to it. Lastly, driving adoption and expanding to new markets takes time and investment. Solitaire has come a long way since its initial launch, but growing a market for a therapy is an ongoing effort that really never ends. Now, taking all of this into consideration, the most important thing to remember is that scaling any new therapy takes a number of things. Let's start with focus. Focus to develop the technology. Time to gather clinical data and establish new standards of care. And investment to break away from the pack and sustain momentum. So when it comes to focused ultrasound, where do we go from here? And as you continue to move forward in your work, I'll leave you with a few thoughts to consider. First, non-invasive therapies like focused ultrasound have huge upsides, especially for high-risk patients who may not be eligible for surgical interventions. AI and robotic-assisted surgical procedures are showing significant benefits when it comes to precision and accuracy. Consider where these could enhance focused ultrasound. Remember, money does matter. Improved patient outcomes should translate into cost savings for patients, hospitals, and payers. Outpatient or ambulatory care is also a big part of our future. Consider where focused ultrasound can serve as an alternative to procedures only available in traditional care settings. And never underestimate the importance of physician training and driving adoption to a new therapy. This is another area that's needed for investment. And remember those ecosystems of care I mentioned. We always need to consider where a new product or therapy fits into a broader patient or clinician experience. Much like the example I shared about spine surgery, focused ultrasound and its therapeutic benefits can only be realized if there is best-in-class diagnosis that occurs before it and effective patient follow-up after it. And finally, the last thing I want to leave you with is the idea of focus. Focus the focused ultrasound. I see a lot of interesting technology using focused ultrasound, but none of it is standard of care yet. This takes a lot of work, a lot of focus. I would encourage you to focus on specific use cases that you can build therapies around that will result in new standards of care for patients. Think what it takes to become a standard of care and work your way back and be laser focused. So in closing, I want to thank you for the passionate, inspiring work that you're doing. Focused ultrasound truly has the potential to positively impact, if not change, the trajectory for thousands or perhaps millions of people. And I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you today. Have a great rest of your meeting. Thank you.